Right.
Managers come in many different kinds, but they all have one thing in common.
Here, by breaking it down into
they have to deal with people.
is excellent.
Yeah, that's the standard format.
How are you? You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Good.
Thanks.
What I've actually got is the complete...
The way they deal with them is what we call their management style.
But at the moment,
There are various ways of classifying style, but in the real world, people don't fit into neat pigeonholes. And often, the way they see themselves is not the way others see them.
Obviously, it's not. I can't consult everybody.
It's a short...
Janice is a team leader in the admin department of a busy company.
Okay.
How would you describe your basic management style?
I manage, right? And in a way, and that's also all I need to say there, because I actually manage. I make sure everybody knows what they're doing, when the job's going to be done by, and how it's to be done.
5. Okay. Excellent, I'll pass that on. Speak to you again.
On the face of it, Janice is an autocrat. The manager who tells you what to do and makes sure you do it.
You seem to say that, well, it's down to you. Everything's down to you to decide what's to be done.
I'm the manager, yes.
How it's to be done. But do you think that perhaps you could get better results if you involved people on a wider basis, if you actually involved them?
No, I couldn't.
Isn't it important, though, that people feel they've got a stake in the company, they've got a part to play, that they're not just people who are paid to do a job and then go home again?
But the thing is, though, I don't deal in that. I deal in the facts, and the facts of the admin department is you come to work, you work bloody hard, and you get paid for it at the end of the month, right? And if you keep on working bloody hard, then you're not laid off. That is the facts of working at this company and at every other company. You're not part of it. We're not one big happy family. That's not the way it's done. Right, this is work.
But despite her tough approach, she's got a reputation for looking after her staff.
I really like Janice. I really admire the way that she is 100% behind her staff. Any projects that we have, any concerns that are raised, Janice, first question is always, how does this affect my staff, my team?
And if her team's at risk, she's more than ready to take on senior management.
Well, naturally, Richard, I haven't heard it straight from you, but I have heard that my team are being moved into the annex.
there is a possibility, Janice, and no decision's been made at this
No, in
moment.
other words, what you're saying is, yes, my team is being moved into the annex.
No decision has been made at this moment in time, but there is a possibility that on a temporary basis your
So
team...
I want to know why it's not Simon's lot.
It's not feasible to move Simon's
Yes,
team.
it is.
It's easier to relocate your team into the annex than it is to consider moving Simon.
What you're saying is, because my team is efficient and they work bloody hard, we'll just on them basically and move them into the annex. I'm not being shoved from pillar to post doing your dirty work and then having to do it in the bloody annex as well. I'm not having it.
How do you approach discipline?
Well, I talk straight. I tell people exactly what I expect, and they know if they haven't achieved what I expect.
It's not your autobiography. It's not your chance to be creative, Jeff. It's a short, succinct report. That's what I asked for.
Okay. I shouldn't have
What have I
mentioned
got? I've got the opposite of what I asked for, Jeff. Because this isn't useful. If it isn't what I asked for, then quite frankly, it isn't useful. Is it?
She doesn't mince with words, and if she doesn't like what you've done, she tells you.
She certainly does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think your team like you?
The thing is that, and you know, I don't want to say, I really don't care, because I'm not here to be their mate. I don't like that style of management. I'm not their mate. I am their manager.
Right, Sarah, the report's behind why.
Well, it's the same old problem again. It's the computers.
No, it isn't the computers, Sarah. Right, I'll stop you there. It isn't the computers. I'll repeat the question. The report's behind why.
Wait, it's the computer and Alison from. People are just taking a long time to get back to me. It's the same
People
story.
such as.
Alison. I don't really want to drop people in it, but.
No, you're not dropping people in it. You are talking to the team manager and you're explaining why. People such as.
It's just.
Shall I interject here, actually, Sarah? Because I know who we're talking about. We're talking about Mike, aren't we?
What do you think of Janice?
Bitch.
Really?
Really?
Well, to be honest, I don't think she likes men particularly. I think she's got a thing about men.
Maybe if she was a man, she would be seen as being clear and strong and no nonsense. I sometimes think maybe because she's a woman, she's labelled too easily as a bit of a dragon.
Perhaps you're in the wrong department. Perhaps you're in the wrong job. I really cannot believe that you have not informed me of this, and therefore this report is going to be late. How does that make me feel? It makes me feel bloody angry. It makes me feel as though you, Sarah, will not be given any responsibility in future. Because you seem to have decided, actually, that given the tiniest bit of responsibility, and I would repeat the tiniest bit, that you are now the manager.
So, we all know the format by now. This is your opportunity to feedback on any aspect of your working lives, good or bad. I want to hear it. So, who'd like to start this week? Billy?
Yeah, I'll start. I just wanted to give you a bit of feedback on the sales trend data on CGS. You know, the nitrate sales. Yeah. The whole
Simon is in charge of reorganising the department.
I'd like to ask everyone, really, if
He sees himself as a democratic manager and prides himself on listening to his staff.
more or less how it is.
On the whole, everything seems to be okay. There's a little bit of a problem with the communications.
Right.
But I think that's something I hopefully can sort out for myself.
But then, you know, with all your experience, I'm happy for you to call it whichever way you want. But the door is always open.
How would you define a democratic manager?
Well, somebody that consults with his team, somebody that sees the team as being important. I would say pragmatism is key to good democratic management. You gather all the facts and you make decisions based on those facts. It's quite clear, it's quite simple, I think.
Would you see yourself as a democratic manager?
I wouldn't want to pigeonhole myself with any label particularly, but I wouldn't shy away from a democratic image. No, of course not.
So you work with Simon quite a lot. What do you think of him?
Yeah, he's quite a good team leader, actually. He really tries to involve the team in the decisions that we make, which I think is good. I think it means that he makes better decisions at the end of the day.
Claire, this is really, really promising. Thank you very much. I'm certainly not going to think twice about putting more out your way. So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
I think it's important to try and empower your workforce. And it's important to put some of the decision making firmly in their laps so that they're able to grow, so that they can go on to develop themselves as people.
Vivian, just wanted to say thank you ever so much for doing this for me. I think it's really strong, really, really good. There's some excellent stuff in here.
Good.
You talk about yourself as basically a democratic manager.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's how other people see you in the department?
I think it's very important when you're in a position of authority to be very clear about how you see yourself and to hold on to that and not to worry about what other people's opinions of you might be.
But behind the listening image, is there another side to Simon? A side that some people, at least, find it hard to live with.
I understand you've been having a few problems with Simon. Is that right?
Oh yeah. There's this form called the 6180, which we have to fill in for quality control, and it's a bit long-winded, takes a lot of time to fill in.
Stephen set out to streamline the form to make it easier for people to use. And he did it all in his own time.
I was very proud of what I'd done, and I brought it into a meeting and showed it to everybody, and there seemed to be really good feedback, and he just didn't say anything about it.
He took it upon himself to streamline this form. He then implemented that form without consulting me, and that is where we had the difference of opinion.
The difference of opinion became an angry confrontation.
And he really got angry. I was amazed, because I thought I'd done something really good, and then he just flies off the handle.
I'm not saying that some of the work that he did was not useful, and as I've told Stephen, and I'll tell you, I'm continuing to look at the changes that he suggested. But until such time as I've had time to do so, it's going to stay the way it is.
He does talk a lot about initiative and empowering people. And getting people to work on their own and come up with their own ideas, which is exactly what I'd done. And then he just completely throws the whole thing out, and loses his temper with me. I was really upset. I mean, yeah.
Isn't it perhaps a bit that you're a little bit annoyed that he went ahead, and it's just a bit of vanity perhaps on your part?
I'm certainly annoyed that he did it, but no, of course it's not vanity. It's about being able to step back and take a helicopter view of the bigger picture, and that's exactly what I'm endeavouring to do. And it doesn't help when individuals within the department take it upon themselves to make decisions that are not theirs to make. It's not vanity.
Another individual Simon has a problem with is Viv. Viv's been with the department for 12 years. She's a hard worker, but Simon wants her to change the way she works. Consultation quickly turns into conflict.
The point is, Vivian, whether you like it or not, this organisation is going from a period of change. We're over here, we want to be over here, right? We want a team. Vivian, stop talking over me, right? We want a team that is prepared to move from here, to undergo change.
Yes,
Claire's prepared to do that. You need to sit down and ask yourself the question whether you're prepared to do that as well.
Of course I'm prepared to change.
Well, I don't see any sign of it, Vivian.
Well, because I need to be led through change. There's no point just saying...
Every time I try and lead you through a piece of change, Vivian, I end up sitting in here with you having an argument.
Well, I don't see...
Vivian, this is not my problem. This is your problem. You need to go away this weekend and sit down and ask yourself whether you really, really want to be part of this team. Okay?
So what are you saying? Then either I toe the line and just do all the changes that you want without any question, or I've not got a job? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to answer that question, Vivian.
Would you say you're tolerant of other people's mistakes or shortcomings?
I would say so. I think at the end of the day it's about getting the job done. I cannot afford to endlessly debate with individuals with the department. At the end of the day, I have to take authority. I have to take responsibility for the decision making. But I like to think that I give people a chance. I think I'm a reasonably good listener. I'm quite happy to feed back to people about when I think that they're not pulling their weight, and to let them know that, to give them a fair chance to try and improve. But at the end of the day, I'm not a social worker. That's not what I'm here for. I'm a manager, and I'm here to manage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you all here, as I'm sure you're aware. I've called this meeting really to discuss the proposals that we have for relocating from our current offices to new premises and to bring you into the picture, think if I do something like this, you'll start to get a feel for what we're talking about here.
Richard is the manager of the entire department.
We're looking at the moment are in actual fact located.
He sets people's goals and targets, but intervenes in their work as little as possible. What's called laissez-faire management.
I would like to believe that very much one of my strengths is that I generate the sort of environment where people and my managers and their staff feel empowered and feel that they are very much the masters of their own destiny.
What about Richard?
Richard, yeah, as a senior manager, I'd say he's good because he doesn't tend to get involved in things so much on the ground, you know. He tends to just let each team get on with its own business, which is good.
He's great. He's great. I mean, I really appreciate being given the space to get on with what I've got to do, and that's what he does, really. You know.
So, what do you think of Richard and his management style? So, if you had to sum up Richard in one word, what would that be?
Interested. He's very interested in his staff. You know, caring, intuitive. Sensitive. I love him.
Obviously, I'm a decision maker, but I manage by consensus, so I'm inclusive. I empower, and I think fundamentally, perhaps one of the most important elements for somebody in my position is I'm prepared to lead from the front, and I lead by example. And I think that those are fundamental qualities that people respect and admire.
But some people feel Richard tries to duck out of the really difficult jobs. For example, telling staff of the coming move to Scotland.
I mean, obviously, Richard, you are, as the senior manager, the person who should be informing the staff. You see, Richard, my memory of the last time we were in a similar situation, I actually informed my staff and I wasn't happy with it.
Well, none of us were.
No.
And this is exactly, I don't want to find myself in that position again.
Well, look, to put it quite simply, Janice, I will be acting as a facilitator to allow you to build those bridges in terms of communication and to ensure that this project, that journey from A to B, is a successful
I'm taking that
one.
as a yes then, Richard.
Yeah, absolutely, Janice.
Yes,
I mean, yes,
right.
I will
That's
be.
all I needed to hear. I heard yes. And I'm going to write that down, Richard. Thank you. Yes, Richard will be informing the staff.
Through you as managers, I will be indeed informing the staff.
Richard will be informing the staff of the move.
I think you misunderstood me, Janice.
Richard has a reputation for avoiding tricky decisions.
There are quite a lot of stories going around about Richard and the things he gets up to. Can you think of any?
Yeah, I can think of one or two.
I was printing out all the annual reports last year, I think it was, and the chief executive officer's name had been spelt wrongly. It said his name's Bobby Scott and it had been spelt Booby. It's really embarrassing.
The chief executive officer is the boss of the company, and Richard would not want to call him a booby.
Anyway, Janice was on holiday, and so I rang Richard because I wanted to know whether he wanted me to abandon the print run and get rid of all the copies, or whether he wanted me to just send them out, you know, to the shareholders as they were. And I spoke to him, and he said that he'd get back to me in half an hour, and he didn't.
Richard was nowhere to be found.
Just disappeared. And I heard later on that he was hiding.
And where was Richard?
I think the executive toilets, actually.
You always have to have some